And I'm here with Tudie Midyette, and we're gathering information about her childhood for the oral history project of Ashland.
Well, actually, my childhood was not spent in Ashland, but I came to Ashland in 1952 when I was married. I was brought up in Hopewell, Virginia, which is about 35 miles from here,
Okay.
south, and so that's where my childhood was spent.
Okay. So why did you come here?
I came here because I met a nice gentleman from here, and we were married. So his family lived in Ashland, and he and I started to work on the same day in Department of Agriculture in Richmond.
Okay.
So that's where I met him, and after a couple of years, we started dating and decided to get married.
Very cool.
And that was in 1952, so I've been in Ashland since then.
All right.
56 years.
Do you, I don't know, what do you think makes Ashland so special?
Well, I think a lot of it is the smallness of it and the people. And I just have met so many wonderful people, belonged to several organizations in town, and as did my husband. And we've just, it was a great place to bring up kids, especially right here in town, because they could ride bikes to school, ride bikes to Little League field, and it was just a perfect little town.
It's working, right? Yeah. Okay.
I still am. I'm so busy. I need to downsize a little bit, but I belong to the Ashland Garden Club. And this past Saturday, we had the most wonderful tour in the town of Ashland. And I don't know whether you girls saw it or not, but we had 5 houses on College Avenue that were open for a house and garden tour. And then the president of Randolph-Macon's house was open also. And so we had the most beautiful, sunny day, and it's rained ever since then. we lucked out. But anyway, been in the Ashland Garden Club for almost 50 years. Belonged to the Women's Club of Ashland.
Awesome.
I charter member of the Hanover Country Club. Play golf. Still play golf.
Okay.
Supposed to go play tomorrow, but it may be a little rainy. And mushy. Let's see what else. I also taught school in Ashland.
Oh.
And belonged to Duncan Memorial Methodist Church. Been active in that, and on the Altar Guild in that church now.
Goodness,
And
you are busy.
oh yeah, and volunteer. I do a lot of volunteer work also, but volunteer at the Science Museum of Virginia, and volunteer at the Visitor Center up at the train station.
Okay. Wow.
And some other things which will come to mind. I belong to a couple of bridge clubs too, but they're not that important. I mean, they are important.
Yeah.
They're real good friends that we've been playing bridge for years and years. So
Okay.
that's.
What did you teach when you taught?
I taught kindergarten.
Oh.
And when I started, you want me to just take it?
Take it.
Excuse me. When I started teaching kindergarten, I had been in the Department of Agriculture. I worked in this seed laboratory. I was a seed analyst, which had nothing to do with kids. But then my 3 kids were born, and I just sort of took care of them. And when my daughter, who's the oldest child, was in kindergarten, there was Miss Smith who had little kindergarten in her home because Hanover County did not have kindergarten in the school system at that time.
Okay.
So there was this Miss Smith, and in those days, this will probably be in the book in some other form, but in those days, the minute your child was born, you named it, you signed up for Miss Smith's kindergarten class, because if you didn't, you would not be getting in there. It was very popular, and she didn't take but a few, maybe 12 children, something like that. So that was the custom. As soon as your child was born, you signed up for the kindergarten, and then you also I signed her up for Ms. Dillon's first grade class.
Oh, wow.
And she was supposed to give the children a good start for school. So she had a little half-day first grade, and when your child went there, and then they'd go on over to Henry Clay for second grade and onward. But so anyway, when my daughter was in Miss Smith's class, kindergarten, she had a heart attack that year and died in about April. So that everybody, all my friends that had kids coming along, and I had my son would have been in the next class, said, what are we going to do? We don't have Miss Smith. What are the children going to do? So anyway, I finally decided that I thought I could do it. And I took some courses, and I went to visited kindergartens in Richmond. And
did you take your courses in Richmond as well?
Yeah, I took some. I took the courses a little bit later. The main thing I did at first was just to visit other kindergartens and other church schools and see what they were doing. And then before I went to Henry Clay, as I taught during the years, I took courses at UVA extension courses and DCU extension courses, and became certified to teach kindergarten in public school.
That's awesome.
But anyway, I taught the little class for about 12 years. And then Hanover County started kindergarten in public schools. So then I went to Henry Clay and started over there the first year that they had kindergarten. Had my own school about 12 years, then taught at Henry Clay 9 years.
Okay.
And then I decided I was going to do some things I wanted to do, such as play golf and
all of your organizations.
Yes.
Okay.
And all that stuff. But anyway, so that's what I did for. I think I wasn't actually retiring, but I stopped teaching in 1982. And joined the women's golf group at Hanover, and just kind of have had fun ever since then. Good. Although I had a lot of fun teaching kindergarten. That's a wonderful age to teach.
Now, your children, they grew up here?
Right.
And can you tell me about their childhood?
They, when my two older children were born, we lived in a little beginner house out in Independence community, which is about 2 miles west of Ashland.
Okay.
And we had a little 6-room house, and decided after 5 years that it was time to get a little bigger house. So my husband's cousin, Meade Jones, who was actually mayor of Ashland at one time, but lived on Maple Street right diagonally across the street there, and they found this house was going to go up for sale. So we came in and looked at it and loved it and bought it and moved in 1958.
Okay.
And I had my daughter, Ann Reed, who was born in 55, and my son, James Webb III, was born in 56. So the year we moved in here, 1958, my last child, second son, was John Pope, was born in 1959. So we were living, the three really had spent their childhood in this house, most of it.
And so did they grow up riding bikes around here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the street was full of kids. In those days, we had I don't think we have any right now, but they were just, it was a different world then. They were out in the street all the time playing and playing with other kids and riding bikes everywhere. And they walked up to the movie, and which was running full time then. And when my daughter was 5 years old and going to Miss Smith's kindergarten, she rode her bike there. It was about 2 blocks down the railroad, mm-hmm. and crossed the railroad. So I don't know. Kids nowadays just come out of the door and the bus stops for them. Picks them up, takes them wherever.
Right.
But it was just a great place for them to grow up. I think they just had. Just could get to anywhere on their own, and they went to public schools, went to Patrick Henry High School, and then on to college.
And did they come back ever? Do they live here at all?
Well, my daughter lives in Virginia Beach. She is a teacher. And she is not married. She teaches. She's head of the math department at Green Run High School in Virginia Beach, and has been a good while. She graduated from William & Mary, okay. And she's been at that same Virginia Beach High School since then. She actually I can't believe it, but she can retire this year. If she will not, she just is going to stay on for a while, but. Right. Anyway, then my second child, son, Jeb, we call him, went to William & Mary also, and he is at ODU now. He does some teaching and some administrative work at ODU.
What's ODU?
Old Dominion University.
Okay.
And he lives in Chesapeake, and he has 2 children. His daughter, firstborn, will graduate this June from Swarthmore College, and she is majoring in Spanish, and she plays on the tennis team. And just recently, I've been to see some of her tennis matches in Fredericksburg. And then her brother is Jackson Webb, and he graduates from high school this year, and he is going to the Honors College at University of South Carolina this fall. Awesome. He's also valedictorian of his class, and plays piano like crazy. He's quite a musician. And then my other son, my baby son, lives right here in Hanover, and his daughter, Lauren, will graduate from Hanover High this year, and she's going to JMU in the fall. She looked real tickled about that. Mm-hmm. And her brother, Michael, is graduating from, all 4 of them are graduating from something. But he's going from middle school to high school, to Hanover High. So, and he's quite an athlete, and he plays all sports, and he has finally kind of honed him down now until he's concentrating on soccer.
Gotcha. Do you have any memories with the railroad? Did it ever bring any weird people into town, or?
Well, when I first came to Ashland to visit my husband's family, he invited me over, and he had 2 sisters, and they lived on the 1 block over on Virginia Street. Their house is about a block from England Street, where they lived. And anyway, I came over to visit several times. Heard the train, and I could not figure out what on earth was that noise. I thought at first maybe it was a tornado coming through. It was just so weird. It's kind of scary if you're not used to. They had all the windows open, and they lived a block closer to the railroad than I do. And it was loud. Sounded like it was coming right through the bedroom. But anyway, that was scary. But the train, it's strange how you get so used to it that you don't even, people say something. My father, who would visit us a lot here, he just loved the trains in town. He'd just go down to the tracks and watch them and go up to the station. And all the kids, when every kid that comes to visit here, my grandchildren, when they were little, they would have to get out, as soon as they hear a train, get out to run down the street, see the train. But anyways, you get used to them pretty quickly.
Okay. I have to ask, what do you think of Walmart coming here to Ashland?
I was very much against it.
Right.
I just did not think the merchants here in town needed that. I didn't think we needed it because there are two so close here that you can just could be there in minutes, and I was very much against that. And I really, even now, I don't go in there unless I absolutely have to. I don't know. It's so big, and it's a couple of times I found that things I really I felt like I just had to go to Walmart to get them because I didn't know where else to get them. They didn't have them, so that huge place that did not have the one thing I wanted. But anyway, I have I'll shop there if I have to. I do get my Opti Express. That it is cheaper there than anywhere else. But anyway, I didn't like that. I think it just changed. And the one thing I do like about it is the fact that they have put it way over there, where we don't see it. And I don't think the stores have been hurt that much.
That's good.
Recently, I was quite surprised and I don't go in Rose's very much, but I went in there to look at their porch furniture recently, and was so surprised that there's so many people in there shopping. Mm-hmm. So that made me feel a little bit better. But I'm sure it made an impact, but maybe not that as much as I thought it would.
What do you think of the new but not as new businesses like Ashland Coffee and Tea and Homemades by Suzanne and the Iron Horse restaurant?
Mm-hmm. I love them. I recommend. I'm a volunteer at the visitor center there in the train station. Always recommend those places for people that stop by Ashland. That so many of them just love it, and I encourage them to take we have a walking tour that I have a brochure that they can walk down the railroad and see all the houses that were built as summer resort places, and which tells them about them in the brochure. And anyway, I always recommend that they eat there at Suzanne's and Iron Horse and the places right there. I think they're great. I have not become a I don't go to Ashland Coffee and Tea much, just because I just don't have occasion to do it. But
it's a good place.
I think it. Yeah, I think it. And my son that lives in Hanover, they've been up there too. But I just haven't. I'm usually just having lunch right here in my house. But but when I have my sister visits me sometimes, or my daughter or somebody comes, but want to go out to lunch, so I usually go to Suzanne's or the country club, actually. And so just haven't had an occasion to go to Ashland Coffee and Tea.
Do you buy most of your groceries from that, I don't know what it's called, the grocery store? It's across from the Iron Horse.
I buy most of my groceries at U-Crops.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I do love and before U-Crops, I bought all my groceries at Crosses, and I still shop there when I can.
Okay.
And it's very convenient to me. And also, they have the best meat in town.
Really?
The best beef and the best meat cuts. So
okay.
I usually do get steaks and things in there from them.
Okay.
But they are good old friends, and they've known them a long, long time.
Do you think? Can you think of anything that's changed in Ashland since you first got here? Like, how has the appearance changed or anything?
Well, one of the biggest changes would be the traffic.
Really?
In town. It's there's just so many cars that go through here now. It's kind of difficult real often to get out on England Street. You're sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting. But so the traffic has changed, and the old part of Ashland looks very much like it always did. Of course, the businesses are different. There was a time when we had up there where that next to Cross's grocery store, that was a dress shop, and several different dress shops were there, and across the railroad where the Iron Horse is. Of course, started off being a big department store, Cox's department store. That was the original. That was the real old purpose of that building. But it had, during the years, it's been changed into like a little mini mall. They had different businesses in that one building, and then the dress shop next to it. And so you really could get most everything you needed right there in the old town at one time.
Right. Let's see. You said you gave, you know about the tours?
The walking tours.
Do you know what the oldest house is in Ashland?
Probably, I think a lot of people say the McMurdo House, which is down here one block on the railroad in McMurdo Street. The house that my in-laws lived in, the Midyette house, is also very old. They think that some Civil War, it's kind of a controversy where did these Civil War generals sat, whether it was their porch or the McMurdo. But anyway, it's a very old house also. And I guess I think most people think the McMurdo house is the oldest.
Okay.
But there are, all those houses along the railroad probably are late 1800s and early 1900s that they were built, most of those along the railroad.
Okay. So do you travel on the railroad at all? Do you take the train?
Yes. I saw some distressing news in the paper today about they're thinking about either moving the railroad or not stopping in Ashland anymore, or they... it's right on the front page of the Richmond paper today. I think they want to put a real speed train through, and but anyway, it's nothing that's going to happen anytime soon. It's just ideas that are going around. But I do ride the train to many Christmases. Some friends and I and my sister get on the train and go to New York City for 2 or 3 days. See some shows, and then come on back on the train. It's just perfect. You can get on the train in Ashland at, the early one, a little after 6, and you can be in New York City before noon. Okay. So it's very good.
That's awesome. Now, did you ever go to the movie theater? You said your children do. Or they did.
You mean when it was here in Ashland? When
right,
it was
the one that's not open now.
Oh yeah, I went up here all the time. Yeah, I'm so sorry that's not a movie theater anymore. It would just be so nice. But yeah, you went to the movie. It's a lot up there. And of course, just walk up there, and And I go to movies occasionally now, Virginia Center Commerce, but not often.
How much were the tickets?
Oh, up there probably a quarter, and yeah, I think probably a quarter, maybe less for the kids.
Right.
And they would go. They would go nearly every Saturday. They'd have some cowboy something on, kitty show. But yeah, it was miss that movie. I tell you, wish somebody would bring it back.
Yeah. So other than the movie theater, was there any other big entertainment thing that a lot of the children did? Were they mostly outside running around?
Entertainment thing. Well, let's see. Of course, the boys played ball of various kinds, and that was kept them pretty busy.
Right.
And we didn't really have. Well, they had the libraries in school, of course, but they didn't really have a big library like we do now. But we had a little one over across the railroad. But there was a big, they called it a Girl Scout house, where they would have, which was up at the end of the street, Maple Street, where that big where the parking lot is, right behind the old post office.
Okay.
And they called it the Girl Scout house. It was just a huge building. They gave dance lessons in there and had cotillions, and they had Halloween parties, and was used. The Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts used it, and Girl Scouts, and that was sort of kind of a gathering place for the kids.
Okay. Do you have a favorite childhood story?
From my childhood?
Yeah, from your childhood here in Ashland. Maybe, I don't know, right after you got married, if you have like a favorite story, or when you came here.
Well, when I first,
Or now.
When I first came to Ashland, you can't believe this, but I would get lost in this little town. I had a hard time kind of getting my bearings, but it's just so small, I don't know how that was true. But anyway, I was kind of a city girl. I felt like when we lived out in our little starter house 2 miles out of town, I thought I was in the I don't know. It just felt like I was way out in the country, and the kids were babies, and they were catching measles and mumps and everything, chickenpox and measles from Sunday school. And I don't know, I was just so confined out there, and the only entertainment we had out there was just to walk up the little dirt road to the old schoolhouse up there. But it was just, I don't know, I felt like I just had to get to town, and I was just so thrilled when we found this house and got into the town of Ashland, and then they could be on their own more, and just I think they just had a happy place to grow up. Right here.
Very good. As far as doctors for measles and mumps and all of those things, is there like a doctor's office around here in Ashland, or do you go to Richmond? Or?
Oh yeah, we had there was a doctor's office when they were babies. They were going to a pediatrician, of course, in Richmond, but they had also. 3 doctors came and set an office up here in town, and one was a pediatrician, and so we started taking the kids to him, and the other doctors also, and they were right here in town. And then the Dr. Staples had a little office on Maple Street, in one of the small houses on Maple Street, started there, and his family lived 2 doors down the street on Maple Street. They had children almost the age of ours, and they played together. And then that doctor opened up the office that's out there on Route 1 now, Teresa Thomas Medical Center. And his wife is a good friend of mine. He has died, but that's where I go to the doctor out there now. Some Dr. Hanley out there. But anyway, we've stayed close friends and love to see their kids when they come back to town to visit. And we usually, all the friends in the neighborhood that go to my church, we kind of get together at Christmas services and see the kids and their kids and how the population has increased considerably.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you know any Civil War stories? I know you weren't around for that.
No, that was before my time.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law it was very unusual that she was a real daughter of a Civil War veteran, and because her father had been in the Civil War at an early age, like he was just a teenager, and then he was very old when she was born. So that's how it happened, that she was a real daughter of the Confederacy, and she had Civil War stories to tell about him and his age and so forth. And other than that, I don't really know a whole lot of Civil War stories.
Do you remember any controversy in your neighborhood or community? Is there anything that everyone was talking about other than Walmart?
Yes, Walmart was a good one. Well, we had a controversy about our property, but I don't know whether you want to hear that or not.
Sure. Sure.
If
you want to talk.
Well, it's kind of interesting that the gentleman that built this house and his friend who built the house next door were in business together. They were Haley and Durrett, and they had a hardware business right up the street.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it's Don Bray's flooring shop. It's right there across from the Chevron station on England Street. And the two of them were good friends and business partners, and they built these two houses. Well, Mr. Durrett built this one, and Mr. Haley built the one next door. But anyway, I think being good friends, and the properties were surveyed and so forth, but being good friends, they probably, Mr. Durrett, who built my house, his wife had a horse, and she needed a little extra land. So I think I don't know whether they bought the land from the Mr. Haley next door, but they had enough land that went behind his lot for the horse to have a lot. So anyway, then they sort of just kind of squared it off, and everybody was happy. But anyway, this gentleman bought the house next door, and let's see, my husband, I don't have any idea how long ago it was, maybe 15 years, so maybe a little bit more. Anyway, he had his property surveyed and said that our garage was sitting on his land.
Oh, no.
And he was threatening to make us tear it down because it was 4 feet on his land. And I'm sure it just happened because the two friends said, well, let's just draw a line here and that'll be our boundary and so forth. But anyway, it all worked out because our insurance, lawyers' title insurance, covered that, and they took care of it. And we could leave our garage where it was. But anyway, that was a little controversy that went on for a while.
So.
It's kind of scary to think you have to tear your garage down, but speaking of tearing our garage down, the Hurricane Isabel that came through town in, I think that was 2003. Do you all know anything? Oh, it just tore Ashland up. I mean, all these old trees all around this old town. It just looked like a war zone.
Oh, no.
And I had, speaking of that garage that was on his land, I had a pecan tree, big around as this rug, that went over, and it fell into my garage and the little shed beyond that, and then the property behind that, because it was a huge, huge tree. And then I actually had 2 pecan trees go over. But anyway, everybody in town had the same situation.
Right.
It just, crews came into town from all over the state and out of state. I finally had somebody from Alabama to cut my tree up.
Oh, wow.
But they had trucks were just going all over town, cutting up people's trees and getting them out of the yard and getting them out of their garage. And
right.
so anyway, after that happened, my husband died in 2001, and the hurricane was 2003, and he was a pack rat. The garage was so full of stuff that we've never had a car in the garage. It was he just had so much stuff in there. And then the little shed next to it was completely filled with stuff that he had collected. And so
What did he collect? I'm curious.
little pieces of wood that we might need sometime, and little, just everything. And a lot of tools. He had his uncle's tools, his father's tools, and just everything that... so anyway, the Hurricane Isabel took care of that, because it completely knocked that little shed down. So I told the cleanup people, I said, just put all of that stuff on your truck and take that on away, which they did. And then they reconstructed my little garage, and
was it where it was?
Oh yeah, but just one, just a lot of the. We're still on those 4 feet.
Okay.
But no, it didn't knock the whole garage down. Just came down through the roof, and one wall was not brick wall. It's a real cute garage. This house was built in 1938.
Oh.
So it's just a 30s garage. It's just a real cute little garage, and it wasn't. The opening was hardly big enough to get a modern car in there anyway. But anyway, so my son just told me that I had to have an electric door on there. So when we had it redone, made the door bigger so I could get my car in there, and had an electric door. So that is just, and they cleaned, my sons and my daughter cleaned all the junk out of there, and we had a fun day going through all that stuff and taking care of it. So anyway, it's much improved. But Isabel really did tear up this whole town. It was unbelievable damage.
Okay. One last thing.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think the most important people in Ashland are or were? You could, I don't know, any big time people.
What do you say, kind people?
Big time.
Oh, big time people.
I don't know. If there's someone in Ashland that you're going to hear about, who would it be?
You mean in the early days or now, or?
Either one.
Well, I've got to think about that a minute.
Okay, sorry.
The right up there in the town square, we got 2 very important people from Ashland, 9 apiece. You know the little plaza up at the library? Do you know about that?
Is it? I've seen outside the library with
Mm-hmm.
the statues.
Yeah,
and-
2 statues there. You were going to interview Miss Pace.
Right.
Her husband is one of those statues.
I know.
That's- He's sitting on the bench, and he was the editor of the paper, and he was important. And the people who ran the paper before that were very important too. The Watkins, they came here from Midwest somewhere and took over the Herald Progress, the newspaper. And anyway, after they were older and so forth, they sold it to Mr. Pace. But anyway, his statue's up there. And then Nina Peace was a judge, and they both died very young in life. And she was very well thought of in the town.
Right.
And the people that, I knew people that worked in the early banks and so forth, people that helped us get money to buy our house. And then I mentioned Meade Jones across the street. Well, he was mayor of Ashland for a good while. And his wife, Laura, was pretty important to Ashland too.
Right.
They owned Meade and Company, and which is the brick building up there where the Irish pub was.
Okay.
That was where their business was. And anyway, she was very instrumental in beautifying Ashland, and she's the one that introduced the Bradford pear trees to Ashland, where they were all over town, and a lot of them have broken up and gone. Anyway, still have some of them.
Yeah.
And when she died at a very early age too, and the park up there in front of the municipal building is dedicated to her.
Cool.
The fountain, and you've seen the little fountain across from Ashland Coffee and Tea
I have.
in the town lot.
Yeah.
Well, I was on the committee that we had a real great committee, and another of Ashland's great people, Billy Flowers, was on that committee too. And Sarah Wright, who's a friend of mine, she is almost 90. She's still very active, and she was on that committee. But anyway, we did that little park there in the municipal park in memory of Laura Jones. And there is a plaque on the fountain.
Because there's lots of important people. Everyone has something that's
Mm-hmm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're coming to a close. Is there any story that you can think of that you're just dying to tell?
I think I probably told most of my story.
No.
And okay. I can't think of anything right off now, but after you leave, I'll probably think of a million.
Right. Thank you so much for
Well, you're certainly
participating.
you're certainly welcome. But I hope I've given you. I don't know. I think I just don't know that I've helped you.
Oh, you definitely have.
I don't know if
You
you have
have.
any material you can use.
Oh, yeah, I
but,
do. Definitely.
Anyway.
And you can go see it at the Randolph-Macon Library Archives. It'll
Oh,
be
is that
there.
where it's going to be?
Yep.
Well, I tell you, I couldn't have ended up in a better place.
Then Ashland.
Mhm.
All right.